What's up guys, it's Mike with TFLtruck.com and
Tommy.
And today we have some really exciting news about the Ford Ranger Raptor.
So back in September, Ford unveiled the news that a Ford Ranger Raptor is coming to foreign markets in 2018. And there's this video of this Raptor kind of flying through the desert, jumping over sand, just extreme off-roading. But of course that Raptor is fully camouflaged. Well, our friends over at Ranger 5G forums came out and they digitally uncovered one of those Raptors.
Yeah, you know, the quote is that they dissected the footage and digitally peeled back the camouflage to give you an idea of what the Ranger Raptor will look like. And actually, one thing we should mention too, Tommy, the reason we're talking about Australia and New Zealand is because Ford has announced that New Zealand and Australia will be receiving the Ranger Raptor in 2018.
Yeah.
So that's the really important part about this.
Now, in Australia and New Zealand, you can still, of course, buy the Ranger. You can buy it in a bunch of other markets across the globe, and it's known as the Ford Ranger T6. And in Australia, at least, it's only available with two engines. What are they?
Right, so they're both diesel.
Yep.
That's important. One is a 2.2 liter diesel and the other is a 3.2 liter diesel. The 2.2 makes 158 horsepower, and of course the crucial number for diesel is torque, and it makes 283 pound-feet of torque. The 3.2 is a little bit more powerful, as you'd expect. It makes 197 horsepower and 346 pound-feet of torque.
Now those crafty Aussies, they didn't give us these numbers in horsepower and torques. They were like in kilowatts and newton meters, so we had to do a little bit of interpretation there, but that's around the power output you can expect. Now in that video of the Ranger Raptor that Ford released, there was some audio that they incorporated in, and it certainly didn't sound like a diesel.
Not at all, actually. It sounded very gassy.
Well,
maybe not gassy, but
sounded like a gasoline engine.
like a gasoline engine.
So Ford, of course, has a full line of EcoBoost engines, so it could be that maybe they're going to put like that 2.7 liter EcoBoost in the Raptor. That would be really cool for the Ranger. Of course, the current T6 Ranger in Australia is available with a 6-speed automatic and a 6-speed manual transmission, and it's available across a bunch of different trims. You've got a single cab, you've got the 4-door longer cab models, and then you range everything from the XL all the way up to the kind of off-roady wild track. So go through some of the numbers we know about the max towing payload water fording of the new Ranger in Australia.
Alright, so max towing, and to clarify, this is not for the Ranger Raptor, this is just for the current vehicles on sale right now in Australia and New Zealand.
We don't know anything about numbers-wise, engine-wise, transmission-wise in that new Ranger Raptor. We're just trying to give you guys an idea of what that current platform is offered with in Australia in different trims.
Now, for towing numbers, payload, all that, towing max capacity is 7,700 pounds, which is fairly respectable.
For a mid-sized truck, it's pretty good.
I think the best comparison would be the Colorado, and the ZR2 is less than that, which would be the comparable off-road package. So we might suspect that the Raptor will have a little bit less towing capacity. So the maximum available payload on the Ranger in Australia is 3,300 pounds, which seems like quite a lot.
Yeah.
It's a fairly respectable number. Off-roading numbers, there's 31 inches of water fording capability. Tommy had to teach me what that word meant today. I thought it was just water wading or something like that, but that's what they call it in Australia, so maybe I have an Australian sense of water wading or water fording. Who knows? 9.3 inches of ground clearance, that's a really important number, and that's in max configuration for the current Ranger, right?
And the Ranger Raptor, based on these spy renderings, let's talk about that because there's a couple things that we noticed. First off, independent front suspension. We've seen that in the official Ford video.
Yeah, they conveniently included a nice shot of the front suspension being quite active.
The F-150 Raptor that we get here has an independent front suspension as well. Fox shocks. Whether or not that Ranger will have Fox shocks, I'm excited to see. I'm willing to bet it will. That's just my prediction, but I think it probably will have Fox shocks.
That would be a good guess, yeah.
Yeah. Next thing we can see immediately is that big beefy front skid plate, which we've come to expect on Raptor models. We have a series of tow hooks in the front. Yep. We have the cutout in the bumper just like the current Raptor does. We also have a couple different hood renderings. Talk about the vents.
Yeah, so the guys at Ranger 5G forums included both options with hood vents and options without hood vents.
Yeah.
The current Raptor has hood vents. So I guess it would make sense for Ford to include hood vents. I guess it's a preference thing. I don't know. I think they both look interesting. We don't really know what the truck will have itself. But it offers an interesting comparison to see what it might look like with them or without them.
Yep, so we'll have to wait and see about that. We've got some big, beefy looking like KO2 tires, maybe BFG branded all-terrains on there. You know, some really exciting stuff. A color contrasted roof. And in the official Ford video, we could see some pretty beefy running boards or rock sliders on the side of the Raptor.
Yeah,
Ranger.
they look like side steps more than rock sliders.
Yeah, I think they're more like side steps, which of course the F-150 Raptor has too.
Right.
So guys, of course, Ford announced that the US is going to see the Ranger back in 2019. So we'll have to wait and kind of drool over these Raptor official pictures when they come out abroad in 2018.
You'd have to think that they're going to include a Raptor trim, right, Tommy? I mean, you have the ZR2, you have the TRD Pro Tacoma. That's
Right.
a lot of off-road competition in the midsize segment, so I think it would be a mistake for Ford to miss out on that sales.
Well, you also have the Wrangler too, you know, and we've got that new JT, the Jeep truck, coming out. So this is going to be a really hot segment. So we'll have to see what Ford does there.
And potentially the new Nissan Frontier Pro 4X.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that could be another option, which they might be refreshing soon as well.
Yep. So be sure to stay tuned to TFL for more news, views, and reviews on all the latest truck news.
And thanks for watching, guys. It's Michael.
And Tommy. See you next time.